We are industry team 6 for this CR517 software Capstone project, and we started our project on financial chatbot. After our discussion with our sponsor and going through all the requirements, we have like it mentioned we have to do 6 tools, and we for our project we are focusing on budgeting tool for now. And this is our Taiga board for this sprint. We focused on 4 use cases. First one, project setup. We set up all the environment where our teammates can work on, and database migrations. We completed with initial database schema and all the migrations for storing data consistently. And next, coming to use case 3, requirements and design consolidation. We consolidated all the requirements and all the metrics and whatever strategies we require for the sprint based on the PRD document shared from our sponsor and our frequent meetings. Coming to use case 4, user boarding and authentication. This is for new user to focus on signing up. For this sprint, we focused on only one task. We'll be doing this other task from this use case in the next sprint. And this is our GitHub where we stored all our work. And this is our uh, Google Drive link where we documented all our work consistently, and also the log files, including the attendance and also individual logs with timestamps, and research document whatever research or anything new or any decision making, in anything which made our decisions, we all stored here. And coming to the retrospective, let's start with Amarnath. Amarnath, like what went well in the sprint one?
Yeah, hello team. Regarding the sprint one, we so I successfully so we as a team successfully finalized a normalized. So we decided on going with the normalized relation schema for the budgeting tool. So that it aligns with the budgeting domain requirements specified in our 5.1 module. And I've set up and standardized MySQL configuration across the team members, and also tried resolving the authentication and migration issues early, so preventing any future instability. And I've also, regarding the models tables, I've implemented the user profile assumption and expense category tables. And as I've already configured an authenticated user, so we decided not to create a user table explicitly. And yeah, so I also maintain consistent commits and task tracking in Taiga. So yeah, overall Sprint One built a strong technical, for me, it built a strong technical foundation for the backend development. Yeah.
Like what challenges do you face?
Yeah, we got a few challenges like, for example, the MySQL conflicts where there were multiple instances deployed. Like we had a socket versus TCP mismatch, and the localhost versus an IP address mismatch. And also we started using different database like SQLite 3 instead of MySQL, and that took not a lot of time, but yeah, but I can surely say that it didn't take any quality amount of time. We resolved it quick, and also time was spent in debugging environment setup, reduce the implementation velocity. So yeah, clarifying whether to use Django auth user or custom user created to users table required the design discussion. Yeah, most issues were environment and setup rather than the logic complexity.
Yeah, like what improvements are you planning for the next sprint?
So yeah, we can for the next sprint, we could create a standardized environment setup document for all the team members before we start doing a particular task, and so log the database engine, which is MySQL engine, from the beginning to avoid inconsistencies, and break tasks into smaller, much smaller technical tickets to improve sprint visibility so that everybody gets the equal sprint tasks and reduce time spent on configuration by validating the .env setup in the first team meeting. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on
Thank
to
you.
Mokshit.
Yeah.
Mokshit, what went well in the sprint one?
So for the sprint one, we majorly focused on the basic setup of the code, and developing an infrastructure CI/CD pipeline was easy because it's a we are only we are all same on the requirements and environments and the tools. So so developing the CI/CD pipeline was very easy.
Okay, and what challenges did you face in the sprint?
Mainly coming up with the requirement tools and environment, coming up with the document where all the team members are having the are working on the same tools, and like for example, there was an issue with whether we are picking MySQL or Postgres, but when we refer to the sponsor requirements, and we clarified we require MySQL, not Postgres. So we had to change that in the in the code requirements, and install the required dependencies for MySQL.
Yeah, what improvements are you planning for the next sprint?
So for the next sprint, as we only did for the initial setup now, and it's going for the coming up sprints that we are going to develop a lot, and I'm planning to improve this Jenkins pipeline and cover improve on the test cases and cover more dependencies, and make sure there are no to zero errors with the code.
Okay, cool. Now moving on to Pranav. What went well in the sprint one?
Yeah, I would say sprint one went well in setting up the project. We were able to understand the requirements clearly and start building core components. On my side, the database schema design went pretty much smoothly. I created tables for user progress tracking, budget plans, category caps, and recommendations. These all things went good, and team collaboration and design discussions also helped align everyone on the system structure early on.
Okay, and what challenges did you face in the sprint?
Yeah, as Amar said, one challenge we faced was database synchronization across environments. Some tables I created locally were not visible on the shared MySQL server with short integration, and I had to troubleshoot connection settings and resync schemas. There are also some effort needed to design schemas flexible enough for future features.
Okay, what improvements are you planning for the next sprint?
For the next sprint, I would say we can improve by having a clear database migration systems and version control process, so updates get reflected across all environments. Also, better early coordination between backend and the database work would also help to reduce integration delays. Personally, I plan to streamline testing and documentation for smoother implementation.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Then moving on to Mahalakshmi, what went well in the sprint one?
Yeah. I worked on the database side, so I worked on database related tasks like configuring MySQL, validating schema, and implementing models such as category tags, tool definitions, content tool unlock, and content learning. Um, so PRs for these tables were created and were merged into deployment, and the relational schema design using TP diagram.io website was really helpful, which helped me avoid duplication before coding. So yeah, this sprint went well. Yeah.
Yeah. Then what challenges did you face in the sprint?
I faced environment issues initially with MySQL configuration and migrations, and one of my PR didn't reflect in the database due to deployment branch mismatch. So I had to recreate the branch and re-raise the PR. Also, there were merge conflicts and timing issues when multiple tables were being pushed in parallel. So these were the challenges I faced.
Okay. And what improvements are you planning for the next sprint?
For the next sprint, I'm planning that maybe we can improve how we coordinate database related work by aligning on schema dependencies before starting implementation. Also, before merging schema level updates, we can do a quick sync, uh, sync or discussions, which can prevent our conflicts. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Next, moving on to
Mhm.
Varun. What went well in the sprint one?
Yeah. Hi all. For me, what went well is that we have received good support and a quick response from the team and the sponsor, which helped clearing the workflow doubts earlier. And we successfully designed the initial API structure based on the project requirements. I also learned Django and gained practical experience while setting up the backend system. We established a basic scalable backend that can be expanded in the future sprints.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what challenges did you face for this sprint?
The challenges that I have faced is that the Figma design for the front end was not available during the initial phase. Without the design, it was very difficult to clearly understand the exact user flow. We had to make some assumptions while designing the backend APIs. Some requirements were not fully like detailed in the PRD as well, so it caused some confusion.
Okay. And coming to the last, what improvements are you planning for the next sprint?
Yeah, we can ensure that the Figma design is finalized before starting the backend work, uh, and we can maintain a clear workflow document to avoid confusion in the future prints, and uh, and we should clarify all the open questions at the beginning of the sprint to reduce the assumptions. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Coming to last, me. And coming to the question, what went well in the sprint one? Like, firstly, we had a strong alignment with sponsor because of our pre sessions before the meetings, documenting, and everything. And coming to my part of work, I worked on Dockerization task. I had to study Docker and Django, the study patterns, and I created the Docker file and Docker Compose configuration. And I also had to work on strategy, research, and metrics. These metrics mainly composed of all the formulas and everything which we will use for our logic coming up in next sprint. And coming to what challenges I face, it was hard coordinating. It was hard coordinating with the three different people. One was like for sponsor for higher view of our project, and with Sardak for UI and Naksh for any budgeting thing, and for Kevin or Yuki with for technical stuff and so on. And another thing which I like, it was my first time using Docker, but it was good learning material. Yeah. And coming to the improvements part, as it is a short sprint, most of our commits was pushed to the last. We are planning to improve that with time management and proper planning for the next sprint. And yeah, that's it. And that's it for our retrospective. And thank you, team, for your best efforts for this sprint. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.